Hello. Sorry again. I wasn't in class today. Like I said, Wednesday, the faculty brass were on tour for recruitment. The performance was at 9 a.m. and it was a 2-hour drive, so we had to leave pretty early, I guess, tomorrow morning. But while you're viewing this today, so I guess let's just jump right into it. This is the appendix activity. So for my piece, I did the Chopin choice, and so that's Etude, Opus Tit number 3. My screen recorder will not let me play computer audio, so I'll try and show the timestamps of the 3 things, or the 3 features that I chose to highlight, but I do have the score in the figure right here. And so, yeah, let's just jump right into it. The first notational feature I would like to discuss is kind of the beaming. I think the beaming is really interesting. Clearly, A right here is just a reduction of B, and the B has a lot more foreground. So, but this beaming still means that this foreground's important. And so you could see that he prolongs the 3 pretty much almost to all the way to the end. But when you add the foreground back in here, you can see that he still thinks these neighbor notes are really important. And so pretty much throughout this whole part, he's going 3 neighbor note, 3 neighbor note, 3 neighbor note, 3 neighbor note, 3. He's just going back and forth. And I'm not going to analyze every single aspect because that'll take pretty long. But just real quick here, why I thought this was so interesting is so clearly this is the line being up here, so kind of like the melody, kind of like the main melodic idea and like what's popping out. So if you look, measure 1 obviously doesn't start here, so it starts probably measure 2, measure 3. I would argue right here, G, probably that's where it's going to start. But it says that the first neighbor note starts in measure 6, which adds up. A right here, A right here. This is measure 6 right here. So that adds up. However, it says A is prolonged till a little bit past measure 9, till you get the next, that neighbor note resolves back down to 3. However, you could see that this neighbor note isn't as common as the scale degree 3 was up here. It's almost absent. However, if you look down here, you see that in between these two, he's using a 4-2-5 progression. And these all have that neighbor note, that A. And this is still kind of hinting at that progression. So I think he's using this neighbor note based off of this progression and kind of ersatz. So I feel like he's kind of almost formulating this line progression based off the ersatz, and I think that's really interesting in the grand scheme of the fundamental line. So the next thing we can discuss is the broken tie in measure 22, and obviously the beginning will just be the beginning of the piece. This excerpt would start at about 1 minute and 13 seconds in measure 22 of just the stock recording. And it's right here. Or right here, I'm sorry. Right here. So this broken tie is just prolonging the 2. And so he uses this downbeat right here. I believe in the article it says that sometimes Schenker will use beamed 8th notes to show important predominance, so this 2. So these 2 upper voices seem to resolve to this 5 no problem. However, this F sharp right here is getting prolonged, while this is still going up. This is a linear progression to this 5. And I think that's pretty interesting. It's pretty easy to see here too also. Since this is technically foreground, you can see that these F sharps right here are getting are right here. But then I think this kind of switches still, though, that it's in the foreground. The F sharp is very, very prominent on a lot of beats here. So I think it's pretty safe to say that the F sharp is getting prolonged, but it may not just be in the bass voice. I think it does switch to the foreground. But yeah, it's pretty easy to see like how the linear progression's happening with the F sharp here. You go to the G here, the A, the B, and then you go back down to the F sharp to hit this chord right before 41, which is right here. This is going back down to the F sharp right here. You can see this chord going down to that downbeat right here. And I think that was just really, really cool how he prolongs the 2 here, the major 2 here, instead of maybe like a 5 or 1, and how it resolves to the 5. I'm sorry, it kind of paused there, but I guess we'll continue to record. Yeah, the third part is the diagonal lines and the diagonal beaming, seen in measures in the graph from 41 to 53. So let me find that again real quick. I think 41 is right here, yes. So that's that chord that I was just talking about. That's kind of where it ends up. And then, so I think this diagonal beaming is kind of interesting. So you can see it's a 5-8 to 7, which means this pretty much the root is doubled and resolves down to the 7. And so I think that's where this this 8th note, this flag comes in. It's that 8 resolving to the 7. But I think this is just showing the relationship, kind of unwrapping how the article kind of said it. This kind of interval right here, because I think this is a really important interval, this is the tritone, is because this is the scale degree 3 of 5, and this is the scale degree 7 of 5. So I think that's a really, really important interval, and I think that's what that's trying to get across. And then this diagonal line, I think, is just pretty simple. So the tessitura here gets pretty intense, to say the least. It gets pretty up there. However, once you get down here, I think it starts to tonicize that A still, or not tonicize. I'm sorry, that's incorrect. It still focuses on that neighboring, the neighboring note A, how they label it, but in a lot lower of a tessitura. So I think that diagonal line is just showing kind of an octave shift down here on how much lower the tessitura is. So I think that's how those are functioning. And then the clip for that would start at 140. And that is all I have to share. So thank you.